Doppler effect. So the Doppler effect is what happens when you have a change in pitch as a sound comes from a moving source or the observer's moving, right? So if I'm looking at a normal situation is where I have a sound source. It could be somebody talking or a motor running or anything that generates sound. And I have an observer that is also standing still. At this point, whatever music or whatever is coming out of that sound source, fan, motor, is going to sound the same to the observer, whether I'm here, or I'm right here, or I'm over here. Sounds the same as long as we're standing the same. However, if that sound source is moving, then what happens is it's kind of like me bobbing up and down in the water. And then moving forward, I'm going to start to actually bump into the waves that I've already created, right? My waves are spreading out. As I'm bobbing forward, I'm actually starting to bump into the waves. So what happens is on this side of the sound source to this person, as this object is moving closer, the frequency of my waves, right? I have many more wavelengths bunched together. The number of crests that pass by is going to be a lot faster. My frequency goes higher, and so I hear a higher pitch. As the sound source is moving away from this person, these wavelengths start to get farther and farther apart as I'm pulling these things forward. And so the frequency of these is going to be a lot lower and my pitch goes down. This is what accounts for the sound of things as they move past you, right? Little kids know this instinctively. Oftentimes when they're pretending to be a car that's driving, they'll be like, whoo. So they're having that high pitched sound followed by a low pitched sound because that's what it's going to sound. As this thing gets closer to you, it increases in pitch, and then as it moves away from you, it decreases. Woo, like that. You never hear a kid do it the opposite way because that would be weird. That's how we know with ambulances, right? The reason why they have a siren is that when I'm hearing it, if I hear it rise in pitch, I know it's getting closer to me, and that's when we start to look around. If I hear it start to decrease in pitch, go lower in pitch, then I know that the ambulance is moving away from me, then I don't have to worry that I have to get out of the way. Sonic booms, right? So if I have a plane, and it's got to be a plane because the car is not going to do this, approaches the speed of sound, then what happens is that these waves start to bounce up, right? I can't get these waves faster. So it's kind of like a boat as it starts to get faster and faster in the wake that it's producing. It starts to skipping along those wave fronts. And so it gets very bumpy and you start to bunch up these crests as I start to build up this huge amount of pressure. If that plane gets faster and goes faster than the speed of sound, kind of like a speed goat gets so fast that they're finally breaking through their waves, it now starts to smooth things out because I no longer have that. But what starts to happen is that that release of the pressure behind it causes what we call the sonic boom, right? So it compresses it, and as it breaks through, it releases all of that pressure. Rarefaction is always followed by compression. Compression is always followed by rarefaction. And so that's that sonic boom that we hear. Another weird thing that happens that you can have is actually called by superposition or interference. And this is beats. So beats is a pulsing sound that's created by the superposition of two waves of different frequencies. So this is like if I hear two notes that are close to each other in pitch, but aren't the same, you start to get this weird constructive interference where you hear this pulsing sound. It's like, ooh, like that. Um, and what's happening is that if you have like the purple wave and the blue wave and they're not quite in sync, where they meet, sometimes you have areas of lots of constructive interference, followed by areas of destructive interference. And it's not normal. So you have these areas of really loud and really soft sounds where you have those alternating patterns of constructive and destructive interference. And it has that buzzing sound to it, but it has that pulsing aspect to it that's created. This is why, unlike with colors where you can blend colors that are slightly different colors, you can't do that with pitches. If you have two slightly out of tune singers or instrumentalists, it's horrible. And it's worse than if everyone was it was the same amount of flat or sharp, because pitches don't blend. You can hear them, and the complex waves that are created can create this really annoying buzzing and pulsing sound, which is called beats. So tune your instruments and tune your voices.